Good evening, everybody. Gloria here from Powerful Potential and Purpose. And tonight we have another spotlight for one of our authors that was collaborating with us on Women Standing Strong Together, which is releasing, as you probably heard, on December 29th. So I want to tell you a little bit about this whole project first before we get to talking to Jenny here, sitting there so patiently. I had a dream, and it wasn't my dream per se. It was a real dream. It was a dream where I received a message, a powerful message, and I was told that I had to align with certain women out there for a purpose. And from that also came another dream that said I had to do a book with these women and collaborate. And I got to tell you guys, that was not on my bucket list. So it just goes to show you that when you truly tap into what is right and divine for you, it will lead you on a path that you never imagined, and things will unfold and people will come into your life and opportunities will show up that you never imagined. So about 70 days ago or so, we started to embark upon this journey to write this book, Women Standing Strong Together. That's right. You heard me, only 70 days ago. So how does one put together and wrangle up 11 other personalities to do this? All powerful, dynamic women that live their lives in control. Well, I got to tell you, I learned I had a superpower, how to wrangle them up. So I want to introduce you to this wonderful gal. She was actually a student of mine a few years back. I met her in a massage training. And we've stayed in touch. We've had some laughs even before we came on here about some of the things, that little quirky things that she loves to do. But Jenny Pederson is a life coach. She does massage still, but she's an addiction counselor as well. And she works with young adults in the school system. And she's got a really powerful story. Jenny was, going towards her goal and in college. And one day something happened. Well, do you know what that was? Because maybe some of you experienced it. She found herself pregnant, not married, living in her parents' basement, and had a decision to make. So Jenny, I want to bring you on. I want to thank you for being here tonight and sharing your story with our audience. And if anybody has any questions along the way, or you can relate to any of this, let us know, okay? So welcome, Jenny.
Hi, welcome. Thank you for having me. Yeah, it's definitely been a fun process working with you and in this new way to work with you. It's been fun and a real learning experience for me too.
Well, I'm glad that you said yes, just like all the other women said yes. And I have a copy of the proof here. It's got a marking on it, so we'll not have that when it's actually printed. And I have to tell you, all these stories are pretty phenomenal. And walking this journey with Jenny and the other ladies taught me so much, not only about them, but all our different perspectives sometimes of going through similar things and how we manage it. But Jenny has a different story than most of the gals in here. And it's like, is this going to fit or not, to be honest with you? Right? But it is about being authentic. It's stories about being authentic. And what I loved about Jenny's is because her experience happened in a way that many women can probably relate, and many female entrepreneurs can probably relate, I realized it was a perfect fit. So Jenny, I want to first thank you for having the courage to come on here and to tell your story. And the title of your story is Not Your Mother's Guide to Supermom. What does that mean?
Well, when I was coming up with a title, I really struggled because I really feel like I'm Supermom, and I feel that my neighbor is Supermom, and I feel like all of these amazing women, we all tackle motherhood a little bit differently. But it didn't happen overnight. Like I didn't just wake up and feel like I was this amazing mother. It took.
Well, you were a party girl, weren't you? First,
yeah, I was. In fact, that's how I found out that I was pregnant. Is me and a bunch of girlfriends were getting ready to go out, and there was just this little voice in the back of my head that was like, you know, you should probably take a pregnancy test and find out if you're pregnant before you go out partying. And so, and the likelihood of me actually being pregnant was pretty low, but I just like, it was like, okay, like I'm going to do it. And then I ended up being pregnant. But yeah, I definitely was all-star athlete, party almost every weekend. Like I like being the life of the party and being with my friends. And so it kind of definitely threw a wrench in my plan when I found out that I was pregnant.
I bet a lot of people can relate to that. In my day and age, you know, I remember thinking, I'm not going to do what everybody else does. I'm not going to have babies young and get married young. I'm going to wait until I'm in my late 20s or so. However, I did get married, not because I was pregnant though, because it was more of, you know, in that day and age, you should be married at a certain age. And then I got pregnant 2 years later. And Jenny, there was a lot I could relate to because we're both dynamos, you know, and it was like, how am I going to juggle this? How am I going to fulfill my dreams, right? You had a lot of dreams and you raised children. And where am I going to fit all that in? So here you are in college, like you said, you're having fun in college and doing your thing and you have goals and ambitions. And then you find out one night you're pregnant. And now you're this amazing mom with 2 daughters, right?
Yeah. Well, I think so.
Do they think so?
Well, most days.
Well, I'd love for you to talk about how you came to terms with being a young mom that had to give up some things at first and going into this world of being a mompreneur, because I know that was not an easy decision, but yet you made it pretty quickly.
Yeah. It was kind of interesting when I found out that I was pregnant and like I had this plan, you know, where I went to school was 8 hours away from my family and I really didn't have any career goals. I got into massage therapy because it was a quick, easy degree that I could do in 6 months. And so I fell into massage therapy and opened my own business right away. And it was just kind of nobody else is doing it in this town, even though there were, but it was like, oh, nobody else is doing it or they're not doing it the way that I want to do it. So I'm going to do it. So Sydney was less than a year old. I went to massage school, started my own business and just I did that because I wanted to create my own schedule and I wasn't really sure what to do. So why not open a business when you don't know what to do, right? That makes perfect sense.
Sure. Yeah. But you make it sound so easy.
Okay? Yeah.
And here you are pregnant, you know, and you're making this decision that you didn't really want to just stay at home, right? What were some of those emotions that came up for you? Did you have anything, you know, here you are, people judge you. We talked about that a little bit, you know, what was happening for you? Because I know there's expectations out there for, you know, on you and what you should do and even on women in general, what we should do.
Yeah. That was one of the biggest hurdles that I had to go through was my now husband. We were just dating at the time. He worked at the coal mine in Wyoming, made plenty of money, was, you know, super supportive in whatever I did. But I just found myself, I'm such a social person and I love being around people that in one hand, I was like, I should be this perfect stay-at-home mom. I should be, you know, baking cookies and making dinner for my husband, keeping a clean house. And then the other side of me was just dying to be out in the world, to be, you know, with people, to, you know, I didn't want to give up that piece of me that I loved so much, that social, you know, I didn't want to give up who I was because I was a mom. And I felt like I had to do that. Like the expectations of what people expected me to do as a mom did not match what my heart was calling me to do at the time.
I think, you know, a lot of us could relate to that because even though I knew I wanted to be a mom someday, there were still other things I wanted to do first.
Yeah.
And so feel that a lot of us, can go through some mixed emotions around that. And what is the perfect mom anyway,
Yeah.
It's funny because I remember my daughter, she was probably around 10 years old or so. And she came home one day and I wasn't even working full time yet. All right. I was doing some part-time stuff and all. And she says, why can't you be a normal mom? And I said, what is a normal mom? And she says, one that bakes cookies, chocolate chip cookies when I come home from school. And the funny thing, Jenny, is I did do a lot of that stuff, but she didn't remember from when she was younger. So she was wrapped up in her world at that time while I did go to work because I needed something more for me.
Mm-hmm.
Is now she basically has followed in my footsteps. So it turned out to be an amazing woman, and she does home care nursing and everything. So she's also got that same kind of, I want something more, not to discount motherhood, because we both know it takes a lot to be there for our children. So you made a decision, obviously, to have your baby, to get married. You went to work, but what happened that first day you left? Like, who took care of your child? Because your husband's working too. Like, what happened?
Yeah, so I had a very supportive home life. My parents let us move into their basement, and when I left Sydney with my mom, and there was a piece that first day that I left. I was so excited. I was like, yes, I'm doing this. And I left. And as I'm driving home, there was some guilt that started to hit me. But it was a different kind of guilt. I expected myself to feel guilty for leaving Sydney at home and going out to work. But it was a little bit different. I felt guilt because I didn't feel guilty at all. I felt so excited. I was really just on this high. I was coaching youth swimming, and so I was surrounded by these other people's kids, all of these other kids that weren't my own, and I felt so great. And then as I was driving home, I realized that not once did I worry about Sydney, what she was doing, or any of that. And a huge part of that is because she was with my mom, and my mom is such an amazing person, and I feel like I had a good childhood with her. But the guilt just kept building and building on this 5-mile drive home to my parents' house, and I kind of pull in, and I'm feeling guilty for not feeling guilty. And I
think that's a big one right there, Jenny. Guilty for not feeling guilty, and I bet if you guys are watching or you're on the replay, can you relate to that? It's like you're doing something you love. Your child is cared for. You were fortunate to have, family members that supported you. Not everybody has that. We feel guilty. And it's because I remember feeling that way when I put my kids, when they were old enough to like going in nursery school and stuff. And I decided while they were in there, I would go to work. And I had that feeling.
Yeah. And, not to give it away, but I came home, and, my daughter was with my father, who was an amazing man, very kind and loving. And I just remember feeling gratitude when I pulled in, and just, like, I don't have to feel guilty for, giving my daughter that opportunity to get to know her grandparents in that way too. And so part of that was giving control, that her happy childhood had to come from every waking moment with me too.
Well, what I find interesting is that if you go back in ancient times, it was the grandparents that actually did raise the children because they had more wisdom, while the younger was doing the other things around, And so we entered this stage in our life where now we don't do that, and we think there's something wrong with it if we do. And Angela, she can relate. Angela also was a single mom and had, her children that way, and went through a lot of this, even though she had a mom to help her at times and stuff. But I think all of us, in some capacity, married or not, can relate to when we're going back to work, when we feel like there's something deeper in our soul that we also want to accomplish for ourselves, we can feel that guilt. and then feeling guilty that we're not guilty, you know?
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, when you were writing your story, did any healing process happen for you? Because it had for a lot of the other authors. They went through different stages they didn't realize. So did you have a little healing journey happen?
I did. And I didn't realize it to start with, but as I was writing, first of all, I felt like my story was just like, I was like, this sounds so bad. It sounds, how do I want to describe it? It just sounded like I was bitching the whole time. And I was like, this is like sad and depressing. And, but I feel like I had to go through that because then, because I was focusing so much on like the hurt and the pain of, judgments from not meeting other people's expectations and, not being this perfect little Pinterest mom. And as I'm writing this, all of these emotions that I felt when I was originally going through it were coming up. And I didn't realize that that's what was happening, was I was just reliving that. And so as I'm like, just go with the process, keep writing. And so as I started to write and I started to come out of it and start writing about coming out on the other side, it was like, oh yeah, now I remember, like this is, and so it was a great reminder because there are some things that I have gone through just in the last 2 years of getting my master's degree while being a mom and a business owner and, all of the things that go along with it. And so some of the things that I was re-experiencing in my story reminded me of how I came through it and really helped me really to finish. I just finished my master's degree last week, but part of that was just like I had to remind myself through my story of how to overcome those judgments and obstacles, and people pleasing is definitely a healing journey that I had to go through, was that people pleasing piece. So,
well, congratulations on all of it and getting your master's. Like, here you have two preteens. How do you have time to get your master's degree?
Yeah. I wrote a lot of research papers on the bench of their basketball practice.
Wow. So you really know how to juggle being a mompreneur. Can you give some tips to the moms out there that are pulling their hair out? Not to say that you don't, because I'm sure you have your days where you're frazzled and nothing's going the way you thought. But what are some of the tips you can give mompreneurs out there?
The biggest piece of advice is write your own rules to follow.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. When I was trying to be an entrepreneur and be a great mom and, go to all their sports events and I did it the way that either other entrepreneurs were telling me to do it or how my mother was telling me how to do it or my neighbor, none of it worked until I just finally, it's like standing up for yourself. And I knew what needed to happen. And I knew that I needed to be there for my kids. And the way that I did that was probably unconventional. And
can you be more specific so that if somebody's saying, yeah, but what did you do? Because some people don't even know where to start.
Yeah. Okay. So, for example, having to write 6 research papers in a week. And it's due on a Sunday, but your kids have a basketball tournament. I unapologetically sat in the bleachers of their basketball games and I was writing these research papers in between games. And I committed to myself that once their game started, I was going to shut the computer and be fully present with them. And so, I had 2 things that were very important to me. My education was very important to me, and my relationship with my kids was very important to me. And so, there were.
So may I just interject for a second?
Yeah.
You said to people, write your own rules.
Yeah.
The beginning is, what do you love? What's important to you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
and your education was really important to you, which is also going to flow over into other people's lives, your children's and everybody else's, because you took care of you.
Yeah.
So my question is, when you took care of you and you went for your education, how did that make you feel?
Well, after the initial scared shitless, because I'm a multi-business owner and a mom, and I just signed up for this master's program, it was really empowering because everything that I do is aligned with my core values, and you know, family is important to me, my career is important to me, and this degree was just kind of like a boost of what I was already doing. Everything is in alignment with my sole purpose. And so when you make decisions based on your sole purpose and your sole calling, then everything just kind of flows together. It all works out when you follow that soul calling.
I absolutely agree, especially being a sole purpose guiding.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree. But I also want to put out there that it's more than a career. You know, it's not just that, because your sole purpose and your calling is a part of you that's going to show up in everything. And I just want to put that out to people too, so that they understand, because I know sometimes, Jenny, people think, oh my God, it's got to be this big, big thing. But yours is a driving force for what? Your purpose is for what?
My purpose is to empower women and kids. And so
and by doing that, you have to empower yourself, don't you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's kind of that idea that you can't give from an empty tank. And so I can't empower people to live their purpose and this passionate, purposeful life if I'm not doing that myself.
Right, exactly. And so now I have a question for you. So if anybody out there has questions or comments or can relate, please go right ahead and post something there. Or if you're on the replay, you know, come in and ask questions, and Jenny will come back and look and answer. But I have another question, and I know we didn't talk about this being a question, so I'm going to just throw it at you. So here you are, a powerful, motivated woman that, you know, has got her master's degree, you know, and you've got these 2 kids and a husband.
Yes.
How do they feel about you being so dynamic and motivational and enthusiastic about all these things on the outside of the house?
They don't know any different.
Uh-huh.
You know, that's just the mom that they've grew up with for so long. And, you know, and my husband is very much not the way that I am. And so we're 2 different animals here. And so for him, we've just learned that I'm outgoing, I'm loud, I take up space, and I'm always going to be that person. But we've had to learn, and mainly me, I've had to learn that I can't force him to be something that he's not either. And so if I expect him to be like me, he's totally miserable. And so we just have learned to let each other be unique and be individual. And both of my girls are totally different personalities too. I have one that's a tomboy superstar athlete and tough, but so sensitive and so amazing. Like, just like, she might cry at the drop of a hat, but on the basketball court, she's big and tough. And then my other one is funny and outgoing and boisterous, and you know, she's a lot like me, like the life of the party, and you know, but we have to coexist in this little space. And something that I really want to ingrain in my kids is letting each other be who we are without snuffing out the other one's light.
I like that. I like that a lot, because earlier today we did an interview with 6 of the authors, and that was one of the topics that came up, is how a lot of us, you know, that was suppressed years ago. And one of the things I realized and talked to one of the authors afterwards that came out of this, and you just basically said it. Years ago, children were not allowed to speak. They had no value in their voice. And I came from a generation of be seen and not heard. Other people had different phrases they used. And so a lot of these women went through childhood experiences and traumas where they held everything in. And afterwards, we began to talk about this whole project, really putting out to the world, just like you said, don't stuff it, okay? Be your authentic self, use your voice, learn how to compromise, get along, collaborate, and make it in this world together. Because there are so many children, and I know you just became an addictions counselor, there are so many children that are going out there using substances or being put on even prescribed medications because of the different emotional traumas that have happened in their life and not being able to know how to use their voice. So with that, what tips can you give moms out there so that they can get comfortable to listening to their children?
Yeah, so that's probably one of the hardest but most important things for moms to learn. They have to. How do I want to say this? Don't do it all at once. Start with one thing at a time, and be comfortable standing up for the kind of food that you like. You know, you want Italian instead of Mexican, say that. And really start to be genuine and honest with what you want. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know what you want, take some time and figure it out, and figure out what do you desire and what do you want, so that you can start articulating that with people. And
so here's a question I have. How would you advise parents to start teaching their children to be able to express themselves that way? Because a lot of times, and I know I've seen it and probably have done it as well, when a child is going through the stages, which we call the terrible twos or the threes, right? Where they are actually, that's the time where they do start to verbalize. They do want to stand apart. They do want to dress themselves, and they want to make their own foods. And that's very often when parents are saying, no, that doesn't look right. No, you look ugly. No, you can't have that. So what would you suggest to parents when they're going through those stages so that the child doesn't lose their voice?
Yeah. Well, I have a really great example, like a story to share with that. So I was that mom when Sydney got to kindergarten. I was, you're going to wear what I pick for you. You're not going to wear stripes and polka dots on the same day. Like, your clothes have to match. And Sydney, she's got this, I'm going to do what I want type of personality. And so we would have this fight every single day. And that's what happens when you don't communicate very well is you fight. And so every morning she would wake up and she would have what I would think were the most hideous outfits on the planet. And I'm like, Sydney, you cannot wear that to school. You cannot wear leggings with gym shorts and a button-up plaid shirt. You just can't do it. You're going to get made fun of. Kids are going to make fun of you. And so I would force her to change. And one day we were running late. Kaya was about 2 and she was in the background just screaming. And I'm like, you know what? Let's go to school. You're going to get made fun of. You're going to, like in my head, of course I didn't say you're going to get made fun of, but I was like, fine, Sydney, wear that and we'll see what happens. And so we're walking up to the school and I think she looks hideous. I mean, she's adorable, but her outfit is awful. And we're walking up to the school and her best friend sees her in the door. And when she comes out and she comes running towards her. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, here it is. She's going to get made fun of. Here it goes. And this girl comes up to Sydney and she's like, oh my God, Sydney, I love your outfit. And I was, never again. I never fought with her again. And it took a kindergartner to remind me that, that's Sydney. That's Sydney's personality. And she might get made fun of, but she's gonna come from a place of, no, I wanted to wear this outfit today.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a bummer that your mom dresses you every day. I got to wear what I wanted. And that was her expression of her personality. And so as a parent, maybe just remembering that they don't have to fit your mold of what you expect them to be. And to first and foremost, always listen to them. You know, sometimes if you just let them talk, they'll talk themselves out of it. Even if, you know, like teenagers that come home and they're in this big rambling mess, they don't necessarily want you to fix it. They just want you to hear them. They want you to hear their problems. So just be present and listen. And of course, if your kids' lives are in danger, if, you know, they're harm to themselves or others, or, you know, something awful is going to happen, then, you know, then absolutely intervene and say, you know what, I'm putting my foot down here. You know, you can't text on your cell phone while driving. I'm saying no to that. But as long as their life's not in danger, let them express themselves a little bit, and then be there to support them when it doesn't go their way.
Like your parents supported you when things didn't go the way you thought they were going to go, huh?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
But Jenny, I remember seeing, we had, for those of you listening, we had a couple of people that, actually several people that were part of our book launch pre-release, and they did some reviews, and you had a couple of your book reviewers come back, you know, thanking you for your vulnerability and for sharing your story, because they were feeling guilty. They had these things come up, and we begin to think we're bad moms, and we're not. We're all learning through the process. Just like Jenny said, she learned from a 5-year-old. You learned everything in garden, right?
Yeah.
So I want to tell you guys out there, I'm not even sure Jenny knows because she's been busy today, but because of we had the Kindle version go up first, and we did a pre-order thing. You know, we were allowed to do pre-orders because it was not live yet. And because of that, we actually went on today to find out, you know, what's been going on with the pre-orders out there. And we are very, very excited to announce that we are the #1 new hot release on Amazon. So it doesn't even go live Kindle until tomorrow. This is just from the pre-orders, okay? So if you go on Kindle tomorrow or even tonight and you purchase the Women Standing Strong Together on the Kindle, you're just going to help Jenny and all these ladies keep this #1 release and hopefully get us to bestseller. So we're going to ask you, would you help go promote this, you know, tomorrow and get us to bestseller? Because these women have put their heart and soul into this. And Jenny talked earlier about listening to your soul calling and listening to your soul purpose. And that is exactly what happened through this entire process. I listened to the guidance, what God told me. I followed it through. I didn't know how, just like she didn't know how she was going to raise these kids, right? I didn't know how. But you know what? When we go through this process and when we are aligned, miracles happen, and we open Amazon and we see we are #1 new release, actually in a few different categories. That's amazing, isn't it?
That's awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. It's totally awesome. So we officially launch our paperback on December 29th, and that's the one I'm holding here. But if you're a Kindle reader and you like Kindle, we'll go and grab a copy. It's only 99 cents. We kept the price really low for you guys to enjoy this. And then when the print comes out, because I'm old-fashioned, but I think a lot of people like to hold books and feel it. And the graphics in here are just beautiful that our graphic designer, Candy Thomen, did. Very, very special personal touches she did for us. So what do you think about that already being the #1 hot on the market here?
Yeah, that's so exciting. It's not surprising, but it's exciting.
Well, you know me, I'm driven too. I'm going to hound all of you to make sure that you tell your people, hey, listen to me. I've got a great story, but so do 11 other women. And that is what, you know, I think has been beautiful about the collaboration part. And I want to talk about that for a moment. You know, most of these women didn't know each other. I knew them through some venue, but they didn't know. But we collaborated. And when you're seeing this now, Jenny, all popping up and these type of things happening, what are you gaining from this? What are you learning? How was it to have this teamwork? Because you train like, swimmers and stuff, and you're a team coach and all.
Yeah.
The coach kind of cheering you on. What did you learn from this process?
One, I love seeing it, like each and every one of us had a different strength, or we had something to bring to the table. And we had guidance and we had support, but it was a little difficult. Like everyone, as entrepreneurs, we like to be in control and we like to do things our own way. And so it was kind of amazing to see all of us coming from different areas, different backgrounds, different stories, different everything, and seeing how all of the pieces of the puzzle fit. And to start out, it was like, I'm not really sure what my place here is. I've got this story, I'm gonna write it. I don't know, like, where do I fit in, and so it was really cool to see as each launch, or like each task was given to us, each draft was due, each everything. It was really cool to see how some people stepped up and took the lead while others backed off, and then in the next, it was just like this ebb and flow of like badassery. It was really cool to see.
Yes, you're absolutely right. We actually talked about that a little bit this morning, how people that thought they would be in the front, things were happening from writing the story and they pulled back. Other people did come forward, then they had to move, then life did its thing. Yeah. And in between it all, I'm learning about all of you, working with you guys out there, and Candy as well. And, we published this, Powerful Potential and Purpose Publishing put this book together, and we are going to continue to do collaborative books and solo books with people that are heart-centered like Jenny, that have a soul calling and a mission and a purpose that they want to make an impact, whether it's on young adults or the world in some capacity. But everybody in here, Jenny, that's where you fit in. Everybody in here wanted to make an impact and illuminate this path of their soul calling.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say, when you called me and you were like, we're co-authoring this book, do you want to be a part of it? I said yes to the purpose, and yes to the mission for the book. And I remember after getting off the phone with you, I was like, oh shit, I've never wrote a book before. Like, I'm not I can write research papers, I can write blog, like I'm not a writer. How am I going to write this book? And so one of the things that I appreciated with you was you sitting down with me and really coaching me through how to start my story, and kind of like picking that scab a little bit, because one thing that I know about myself is that the old me liked to avoid pain. Mm-hmm. And so part of me forgets the hard times, because the second that I feel bad, I try to fill it in with something else. Fill it in with being busy, fill it in with social events, or fill it in with something so I don't feel crappy. And so when you were helping me to write my story, I was like, I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there, Gloria. And you were like,
I knew that.
And you were like, and you just called me out on it. And so that was really powerful to me. And because
here's the piece in that, Jenny. If you only tell all the happy endings, the people that are reading this won't relate to your stories.
Right.
And the reason that people are relating and the reviews are coming back stellar is because they can feel themselves in your stories. And what's also beautiful is that everybody that went through this healing journey through their stories, then they did get to tell the happy ending or give the value to others or the tips or whatever, because they showed people like yourself how I got through this particular tough time in my life. And maybe I don't want to relive it, and maybe I don't want to feel it. But you know what? It's a good reminder of how far you came, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So Jenny, do you have any last words of wisdom or anything you want to say to the people out there, and why they should buy this book, what they're going to benefit from it, how your story is going to help moms out there, anything at all?
Well, I definitely feel like, so I'll start with why my story is awesome and why you should read it. And then
I love it.
So the whole mission for my chapter of this book is that there's no cookie cutter mom out there. You know, we're all different, and some of the most judgmental comments and feelings that I've ever had are from other moms. Mm-hmm. And so if we can just come together, and what I would love to see is all of these moms coming together and letting us all be unique and different. And I'm probably not going to have a blow up castle at my kid's birthday party or a unicorn cake or, you know, but you will see me hiking in the woods with my kids and, you know, being at the sidelines of every single one of their basketball games. And that doesn't make me any less of a mom than, you know.
Hey, I think that's awesome what you're doing. Yeah. I bet you there's moms out there that think, well, wait a minute, how come I'm not doing that?
Yeah. Yeah. And the truth is because that's who I am. And so all of us have, and there's so many different ways that people have became a mom. I just witnessed one of my best friends. She adopted 2 little boys this week, and like over the course of the last couple years. And so her introduction to motherhood is a lot different. She didn't physically birth these children, but they're hers. And how she parents these kids is so much different than how I do. And then I have these best friends who have struggled to get pregnant and struggled to have these children, you know, and then there's me that just accidentally got pregnant, and just knowing that all of our stories were different. Absolutely. And to approach each other with a little grace and a little love, that no matter how we came into this, we are here and we're in this together. And it truly does take a village. And, you know, it's like this buffet table. We all have something unique and different to bring to the table. And, you know, if you don't bring your dish, somebody doesn't get to eat.
Right.
And so I'm going to do motherhood my way. Don't judge me, and I won't judge you. And we'll do this together, and follow your gut, follow your intuition, and, you know, stop looking into what everyone else is doing to be a good mom, and support each other, for goodness sakes.
Absolutely. You know, I think that's really important, because you know what? We do need all the skill sets, all the different ideas. Because even when I became a mom, you know, and I didn't go right back into the working part or anything, and I knew inside of me over time that I really wanted to do something else. But here's what I did. I love to create, obviously, right? I'm creating books, right? Yeah. I love to create. And so when my kids were little, rather than, you know, thinking, gosh, I need to do something more, what I began to do, and this is not to this is why we don't discount anything that somebody brings to the table, like you said. I began to create through a lot of different crafts that I got very, very involved in, and really involved in, spent a lot of money in every single craft, okay? And what I realized is when I had my grandkids too, I was able to bring all of this creativity to them. And all of them are creative. And creativity is a life force energy that moves you forward. It's not always nurtured in school either. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's a necessary piece, because it's what keeps us alive inside, and it's playful, and it also taps you into your purpose when you could be in there too. So I realized all that time when I was home trying to figure out, okay, bake cookies, do this, clean the house, make your own curtains, all of that, because I was the crafty one, believe it or not. What's that lady's name? Martha Stewart. A lot of people can't believe that of me, but that's who I used to be. But I learned to love even that. I learned to love even that. But then I'll be honest, when my kids were in school and I wasn't involved in their lives that much, I was lost, Jenny. I was very lost. I was very sad. And my spouse at the time didn't understand, because, you know, I had a roof over my head. He was making the money. The house was kept clean. The food was on the table. Why wasn't I happy? But like you and other women, we have another purpose beyond mothering. And what I see sometimes, Jenny, is when people get older and their children take off, they go to college or they get married, they have that empty nest syndrome and they don't know what they do for themselves. And I've actually seen women start drinking more because they haven't tapped into that place inside of themselves and own their own gifts. So I want to thank you for putting that message out there today to the women, and for all of you watching. Again, if you have questions, please come down. We'll come back later on and we'll look. But Jenny, thank you for being part of Women Standing Strong Together, because you are a big foundation of this story for all the women out there, and to remind me too that the things I did when I was younger as a mom, yeah, there were times I felt guilty, Jenny.
Yeah.
But I look at my kids and where they are in their life and how they take care of their children and how they impact the world and how they are kind. And I know I did a good job.
Yeah.
And you will.
Well, and I love that's why I became part of this mission of this book too, is, not just for moms, but like for women everywhere. Is we're setting a new standard for how women support each other.
Absolutely.
And like the experiences that we all have shape and mold us into who we are. And every single story in this book just like makes my heart just beat a little more. Like it's amazing to see. And the whole purpose, like we're sharing these vulnerable and like very vulnerable and touching stories, so that we can help someone else, not make them feel bad about themselves, but we're really like calling women everywhere to step forward into their power and really like who they're meant to be, a bigger version of themselves. And
Absolutely.
So that's what I like. I love this. I love the book. I love the stories in it. I love the purpose behind it. And more than anything, I love the lives that it's going to change.
Yes. And wait till you see the edited version with the stories, because they all change a little bit along the way. So not everybody saw that. Reread it again. You're going to be amazed. Right. We're all excited actually about holding it and reading it from cover to cover. So you can go to Powerful Potential and Purpose and learn more about these women and this mission, and an event that's coming up actually in January in Delaware, that if you'd like to come and meet some of the authors and work with us, then come on there, and that information's here. And there'll be more events going up. We are going to be in Edison, New Jersey in March. We got a book and speaking tour going on. So we're going to be speaking at a holistic expo. And then in Florida, and then we're going to be going to Kentucky, and hopefully Jenny's going to do something up in South Dakota. So you will have an opportunity to meet these women. And if you host events or you have a community organization where you want to bring one or more of us to speak, well, then go get in touch with us, okay? I'm Gloria Coppola, and this is my email address, okay? But Jenny, if they want to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
They can get in touch with me on Facebook, Jenny Pederson, speaker, teacher, coach, or jennypederson.com.
jennypederson.com. I want to make sure that I did this right. So hold on. Is that it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So if you want to reach out to Jenny, go to her website there and she'll get back in touch with you. So again, we have our Kindle is being released tomorrow. It's on pre-order, so you can pre-order, but officially releases tomorrow. And please go in there and give these women some rave reviews and kudos and everything, because they truly did align with their soul purpose calling. And they are putting this message out to you. And like Jenny said, this is for the world. This is not just for some women. This is for the world. So thank you, Jenny. Good night. And everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.